mainstream media and Democrats are quick to drop the Inflation Reduction Act language and calling it what it really is: climate, health, and tax bill. This, as a University of Pennsylvania Penn Wharton analysis reveals, the bill would only reduce annual inflation by 0.1 percentage points over the next 5 years. Soaring inflation is costing the average American family an extra $717 per month. Now, Democrats, just like they did with the recession, are trying to redefine the definition of inflation. Listen to this.
Well, what happens is inflation is just a conglomeration of a whole bunch of costs that are either going up or going down. So if you address the basket of costs that are in there, and if you lower energy costs, as an example, we're going to save the American family $1,000. That is going to bring costs down for people, and it is ultimately going to lead to a reduction in overall inflation, but most importantly, to the budget that people have every single day. Inflation is like a theoretical word that economists use, but what families feel every day is the up or down of costs.
We are serving up a garbage casserole for you this morning, because that was a bunch of, well, nonsense. Joining the conversation all morning long, Washington Examiner commentary writer Tiana Lowe and Optima Capital Director of Strategy Frances Newton Stacy. That was my opinion, Tiana, but to say it's just inflation is just an economics term. The American people aren't stupid. We know that inflation is a basket of goods and the prices of those goods. The point is, the Democrats have done nothing to lower those prices and are doing nothing.
No, and people forget that inflation is the economic phenomenon that people understand the most. You know, recession can be abstract. Economic growth and GDP growth can be abstract. But when food prices at home, when you go to the grocery store and those prices are up 13% year over year, over 1 percentage point every single month, people feel that. And, to the Democrats' credit, they could just say this is a more fiscally responsible, social spending package than the Green New Deal or Build Back Better, whatever they were proposing ages ago. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying it's an Inflation Reduction Act, which is a lie.
Frances, I just want to repeat this. Inflation is a theoretical word that economists use. Just your reaction to that comment from Congresswoman Jayapal.
No, it's highly mathematical, and it is a conglomeration of things. But those things actually, when the prices of the underlying assets change, they have a lag effect when they hit CPI. And what's she talking about? Inflation going down? Even though these prices are going down, there's between a 1 and 18-month lag between the components of this to see CPI going down. So we don't expect CPI to go down, and it's not going down, right? It's increasing at a slower rate. So it'll still be increasing by 7.3% by the end of this year, meaning that your costs are still going up, albeit at a slower rate.
Hey, before we go, Tiana, how do you think the messaging on this and the Democrats passing this impacts the midterms? Because, again, people are so concerned about their own personal financial situation, and they do know better that this is a spending bill, and it's spending on things like, oh, we need electric garbage trucks in this country, and that's the very thing that you don't do when inflation is a problem, and that's spend more money.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the issues that the Democrats have made they have not made the case that deficit reduction is important. You and I both know that by the halfway point to the century, 40% of all federal tax revenue is literally just going to go to pay off interest costs on our federal debt. We know that debt is a problem, but Democrats have not even pretended to care about debt for over a decade now. So what is the case you make? Oh, all this is going to, we will induce more demand for energy-efficient appliances and Teslas, which, by the way, already you have some of these companies saying that, because of the reconciliation process, it means that more EVs aren't going to be available, further jacking up the prices of those EVs and those energy appliances that are covered by this bill. Right. So, no, it doesn't exactly help it out too much.
Right. You're going to juice demand for something that's in short supply. They might as well have handed out, vouchers for airline tickets in this thing. That's how upside down it is in the logic. Yeah, when the airlines are struggling mightily, just hand out vouchers. That's the idiocy of a lot of what's in this bill.